Here, there is some movement. Let's get some wisdom from Wallace. Do you like that?
I think that's what we should call this segment from now on.
I just named it. During the commercial break, I was like, what should I say? Wisdom from Washington. It's not about Washington. It's about Wallace. We're going to Chris Wallace. Here's the thing.
A little super under here.
We'll make that. You know, we have to make that. The governor of Florida, Rick Scott, has said, I'm in favor of raising the age to buy a gun. The president has talked about bump stocks. He's talked about some other things. Is this different from other times, Chris?
Well, yes, and we'll have to wait and see. Yes, because you've got a Republican president and you have a Republican governor in Florida, and both of them very strong supporters of, supported by the NRA, talking about some things that the NRA doesn't especially like. Having said that, and this is where I say we're going to have to wait and see, in the case of the president, he's going to have to propose these to Congress, and it's not at all certain that Congress is going to go along with these. Remember back in a somewhat different circumstance, but an equally horrible situation in 2012 with Sandy Hook in Newtown, and the slaughter of the 20 first graders then, and you had Barack Obama with a huge campaign. He put Vice President Biden in charge of it. The country was outraged.
Couldn't beat the NRA.
Wringing our hands, and it went into the Senate, and it went nowhere. So, yeah, this president, and yes, he does have a clout with gun supporters that Barack Obama didn't have, and some credibility with them. But let's wait and see what happens when it actually gets to Congress.
I thought it was just interesting, or kind of around the edges, Chris. Wayne LaPierre, the spokesperson, and that's what he is for the NRA, which works, by the way, for the gun manufacturers. Wayne LaPierre said, we need to harden our schools. That was a word he'd used. I'd never heard the president use that word, and I searched for it, you know. And then after Wayne LaPierre said it, the president said it 5 or 6 times, we need to harden these schools. He is co-opting their language.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things where he's right in line with the NRA. For instance, the idea of having people with guns in the school. I remember, again, after Newtown, and at that time, I remember it being fairly kind of outlandish or out there, at least it seemed that way, when he said, you know, the way to stop a bad guy with a gun is with a good guy with a gun in a school. And the whole idea after Sandy Hook that you were going to have people in schools with guns seemed pretty dramatic, pretty extreme. But that seems to be something that people are kind of agreeing on. Obviously, very controversial, the idea of arming teachers, but the idea of armed people, whether it's the teachers, the security, whatever, inside schools, seems to be that's going to be part of the solution here, almost certainly. And again, there are some things. There are
so many people who are so against that. You actually think that they may end up arming, as the president put it, 20 to 40% of the able and trained people inside the schools? Seriously?
Well, no, what I said is it may be teachers, it may be other security people, full-time security people. But let me say, in terms of the teachers, that is already happening in some parts of the country. Out west, in Ohio, particularly in rural communities where people are saying, look, it's going to take 10 or 20 or 30 minutes to get police here if there's a school shooting, and we need to have protection way before that. The average incident takes 3 to 5 minutes. And I just saw some pieces on the air last night, one on Special Report, one on the CBS Evening News, where they talk to teachers who have taken it upon themselves, have to go through training, but get guns and carry them in school and to protect the students if need be.
We'll watch it.